Hello, everybody, on the Gumroad, or if you're listening to this about a week after, usually a week after I put them out on Library. This is special content that I am doing because I want to say thank you to everyone who supports me in my strange endeavors on the internet. It is Pride Month, and I promised everybody that I would do a special for Pride Month, and I have assembled something with some help. So I have a general theme in mind and some some helpers assembled screenshots to this theme, uh, and I've not seen them before. So everything that I will be saying will be a first reaction. I have about 30 of these images that I will look through, and I will go through as many as I can before I just want to jump off my balcony. Uh, so hopefully, maybe I'll be able to get through all of them. Depends on how long it takes and how mentally exhausting this is. I'm not sure what to expect. The topic is womb envy. So you've heard of penis envy, but womb envy is, I guess, the antithesis of this. As it says here, womb envy denotes the envy that men may feel of the biological functions of the female, pregnancy, childbirth, and breastfeeding. The neo Freudian psychiatrist Karen Horney, oh, that's an ironic name for this, proposed this as an innate male psychological trait. So Dr. Freud came out and said that the woman wants the penis and will acquire the penis. And then Catherine Horney comes out and says, "Nuh-uh, men actually want to be women and they want to breastfeed and they want to have babies." So this is like a weird psychology duel between the two of them, and we'll see some evidence to support the existence of womb envy. So if you haven't figured out, these are going to be mostly men who are in relationships where they have brought a child into the relationship, and now the man has decided, actually, I want to be a mother and not a father. So we're gonna go through. I think it's gonna be mostly men and the MTF subreddits, but it could also. I think there also are some pictures from female Reddits, mothers talking about their new wife's transition from uh, male to mother, M to M, I guess. So gonna be probably pretty fucking dark, and hopefully not so much so. So let's start off. This is our M to F from you, Polly Blank, saying, I have begun my transition and no, I am trans. Why won't my weird fetishes go away? Ugh, okay. So while the sissy porn I used to consume in vast quantities no longer does much for me, I do get aroused whenever the idea of being a wife and mother comes up. Like I think some of it comes from a subby kind of place, being a good little housewife and such. I can deal with feeling like a shitty feminist for that, but part of it clearly has to do with mothering itself and being broody, being pregnant. I know it's horrible and makes me feel like such a pervert. I'd assume that this kind of forced femme stuff in all its form would kind of evaporate as being a woman became more mundane to me. But this is the most troubling fantasy, is still very strong. To which Fushoji Motor They It Inbi Trans Femme says, it's incredibly normal. The amount of trans femmes I know with mommy kinks and forced feminization kinks is very high. Sexuality is just one way that our desires manifest themselves. Don't be so hard on yourself. So if you don't know, there is a well established trend. And the reason why the post op suicide rate is higher than the pre op suicide rate for transgenders is that once you remove the cock and balls and you no longer feel the horny, all of this gender shit goes away. It is like a 24/7 fetish, lived in fetish, and he is kind of expressing this without being able to admit to himself that that is the entire thing. It's not just, oh, I have a mommy fetish. It's my entire identity and lifestyle is a nonstop charade to pander to my lived in kink. So uh, that's sort of a acceptable explanation to me, at least, as to why the suicide rate goes high. You cut off the cock and balls, and you're just like, oh, actually, I've just mutilated myself, and I can't even jerk off anymore. It's also why they get so fat. I wish I could be pregnant by Zoe the Cosmic Horror. If I called someone a cosmic horror for posting this kind of shit, I would be called a transphobe, but I guess it's okay when they do it. Ash Bonfire says, seeing my pregnant wife and being super envious of her when she talked about how miserable she was definitely a big crack in the egg. Seeing my, so she, how miserable she was. So it is like it's not even like, oh, I wish I could have kids. I wish I could feel the female experience of being pregnant. It's very specifically, I want to be like raped and like forcibly impregnated and then be miserable because of it. Like that's part of the fantasy. That's very strange. It's also sort of a hint that I never feel like trannies ever really appreciate things, especially the male to females. They're never like, I'm in admiration of women. I think women are so great. I want to be like them. It's like I think women are like disgusting breeding pigs that should be permanently knocked up, and I want to experience that kind of degradation because being a woman is the worst thing I could ever possibly imagine. It's like being an animal. That's how it always comes across. It's only the female and males are like being a man is easier. I just want to pee standing up. That's how that comes across. Uh, I wish I could be pregnant. This is a different. This is, I guess, this comment that Zoe the Cosmic Horror left inspired them to go on and make a full blown post, which then received 350 upvotes and self MTF. He says, "This has been a new feeling for me lately as I get further along in my transition. I don't want kids; they are just for me. But I've been really sad lately that I can never be pregnant. I want to be able to create new life to carry and nurture and love it. Like I said, I don't want kids of my own. I'm more so sad that the opportunity has been robbed of me. Like I know I could breastfeed and care for a child if my partner gave birth. Thanks, modern medicine. But just that the possibility of pregnancy isn't available to me is so cruel." Oh, a lot of unpack in that statement, as they would say. Thanks, modern medicine. Modern medicine was a mistake. We should go back to when when we didn't have penicillin. Those were the days. Movie Nerd 1994 replies saying, "This is both my biggest source of dysphoria and the thing that made me realize I should transition. I realized that I want to be pregnant, so I'm going to transition to a woman, and I'm still not going to be able to I'm going to become an infertile woman." I'm gonna give myself new reasons to complain. As a kid, I stuffed blankets, pillows, anything I can ball up and put under my shirt to look pregnant. Now I stick out my belly and rub it to pretend I'm pregnant. I get so upset that I can't get pregnant, feel my baby kick, or give birth to my baby that it makes me cry. I know a lot of women say that pregnancy is not glamorous or really that great, but it's more the one thing I want and can't have. On the plus side, there's always adoption, or maybe even surrogacy if you bank sperm. Also, if you don't have kids, you can still be a mom, can still breastfeed, and even do things for yourself like have a baby shower, wear maternity clothes, have a maternity photo shoot. Those last ones are things I would do if I was going to be a parent. So, can you imagine being like you're like a woman, right? Okay, just imagine you're like you're fresh out of college, you're like a college age girl, you have a degree in photography, and you're like, I wanna capture people's best days. I wanna capture their maternity shoot, their engagement photos, their wedding pictures. I wanna be there and do justice to these wonderful memories that these people are gonna have. And then you get a phone call and you say, "Hey, I want you to come over and do a maternity shoot with me." And she says, "Okay, I'll be there on Friday." You come over and it's a guy and he has stuffed his shirt with a pillow and he says, "I want you to take my maternity photos now." I think is it a hate maybe in California it's a hate crime to just run the fuck out of there as quickly as possible, because chances are you're gonna end up in a basement chained to a radiator if you're that woman, and you meet movie nerd 1994 in his coom dungeon. Being a dad scares me, but being a mom feels more natural to me. Yeah, I bet being a dad scares you. Dysphoria sucks, but this is my biggest source of it. If it helps, cis women do struggle to get pregnant, and some unfortunately are unable to. After talking to some trans women, I've learned that this feeling is common. It helped me realize that I wasn't alone in this feeling. I hate it, but I found that talking about these feelings has been helpful. Surround yourself with other mentally ill people who reinforce your mental illness. That's a great idea. Professional band 178, who's a third party in this conversation, says, "You sound like me. I used to put a round pillow up my top and make it look like I was preggers. I wanted to get pregnant, give birth, and breastfeed. I dreamed of being a teen mom." I dreamed of being a teen mom in high school. I wish I was a girl so I could fuck up my whole life exactly like I have as a man. Two friends got pregnant by accident in high school and had abortions. I was supportive, but I would have done anything to be able to change places with them. Yeah, and have my own abortion. I wish I could get an abortion. I think one suspected how I felt, but I know that the other thought that I was just a platonic friend and likely gay. The gay to trans pipeline. I have a few maternity clothes that I wear occasionally. It's hard for me not to pursue sites like Pee in a Pod, Motherhood, Ingrid and Isabel, and Seraphim. I do not know what the fuck that means. It's hard for me to. I guess those are like pregnancy sites. I have this constant desire to tell my boyfriend that I'm going to make him a daddy. It's one of my greatest euphorias when I went into motherhood maternity clothes stores at the mall and looked at Clot. The one clerk asked me when I was due and if I wanted to sign up for their mailing list. I did try on an outfit and bought a pink blouse. I do almost anything to be able to take home a pregnancy test and see two pink lines. This is what I dream about every night. I want to be a mom more than anything else. Someone please knock me up. Feel like I read this and I feel like I'm reading like a manifesto. You know, like you're reading like a teenage kid's thing, like my whole world is cold, twisted darkness, and I want to kill everyone in my classroom. It's like, oh, maybe we should do something to stop this person. This sounds like a looming threat to the safety of people around him. Meh in bed from Drop of Blue. 2 days ago, my partner is trans. So I'm assuming this is a woman. Oof. And that is like a trans flag with like a pink heart, like the lesbian flag. Oof. So I'm a cis woman, and my spouse came out to me roughly a year ago as a trans woman. We agreed to make it work. We are together for 16 years, and we survived battle with infertility and my PTSD depression after a pregnancy loss. Most of the transition she did is now purely social. No hormones until we run out of a reproductive window for me. We agreed on a specific moment. Thing is, I'm kind of meh when it comes to the intercourse. It was already not very well after my pregnancy loss, and I have issues on my own. Perhaps demisexual, perhaps just trauma. I lack the desire for her in girl mode. I just need to remind myself that she is the same human inside. Then it takes some effort to relax, and this is normal for me to be relaxed, to want to go to bed at all. I don't want the wig in bed because it's another person's hair. Weird, but I look at it as an invasion of privacy. That's definitely a woman train of thought. I'm partial to the bra because bras are something of mine. Being jealous of bras is pretty dumb, but it's like a sphere as my woman is being invaded. She like feels the frustration my avoidance gets to her, and we argue. We were in a good marriage until now. We're deeply connected. I'm afraid that this might not last because we're not on the same page when it comes to each other's needs. Did anyone have the same issues and can beat them somehow? Can I have support? Run. I'm assuming you're like mid 30s. Run. You can still do it. You can find someone who's not a fucking weirdo. 16 years, entire life just gone. Like the marrying years, meeting people years, just flushed down the fucking drain. New here and trying, and my partner's trans by allergic to everything. She warns, prepare for rambling. My partner, M to F 26, just came out to me, cis female 26, on Friday by accident. We were looking for counselors for what I thought was unrelated reasons, and I was swiping through the tabs, and the Notes tab opened with questions for our estate attorney and financial advisor in case of divorce. I panicked and closed it and asked if they wanted a divorce. They then came out and said that they were afraid I'd leave them and want to make sure I'd be okay if I asked for a divorce. Honestly, I'm shook because they already had an appointment set to get HRT, and it's been 10 days and they never once talked to me about any of this. They weren't planning on telling me until we had a counselor right before the HRT appointment. They said they didn't even realize they were trans until the 3rd of January. I don't know when this was taken, but I'm assuming like a couple months later. I'm having a difficult time with the timeline of things. Everything is happening very quickly. We've been together for 5 years, married for 2.5, and had a baby 9 months ago. We have literally been preparing to sell our house and upgrade to something bigger to grow our family, and now they are questioning whether or not they even want more kids. My entire life has suddenly changed. We have vacation planned and tickets purchased. I love this person. I love them so, so much, and I'm trying so, so hard to be supportive, but I am really struggling. I feel like everything has happened so fast and did not get to be part of the gradual transition and questioning, so this came out of nowhere. I want to stay for as long as I can because I fell in love with this person and cannot imagine life without them, but I am terrified that one day we won't be attracted to each other. I'm worried about the fact that they didn't tell me anything and we're going to wait until the last minute to tell me. I also bought a jumpsuit and a dress for them, and I'm afraid to give it to them. What if they don't like it? I want to be supportive and I want to join in on the journey, but I have so many conflicting feelings between a lack of trust, a feeling of loss, and a feeling of love and excitement for my partner. Do I give them these gifts and just jump in and help them with makeup and nails, or do I give it some time? We're still talking, snuggling, and sleeping in the same bed. We've talked about being together for the time being. What do I do next? I'm assuming, and this one sounds like he just waited for the baby to be born before like doing this. It kind of sounds like a reproductive abuse situation where he's just like, I'm gonna have a kid and then I'm just gonna transition, and if she's not gonna like enable me to be like a polycule and do whatever the fuck I want, then I'll just leave and she can eat shit, I guess. That's nice. Uh, Posted by Confused, I guess, 7 months ago. I'm guessing that this is also in my partner's trans. Using he, him pronouns as that is what he uses for, and from what I know, prefers. I apologize if this post comes off as hateful or intolerant. My husband and I had been married for about 7 months, together for 3 years. We just welcomed our daughter into the world. Shortly after getting married and finding out I was pregnant, my husband tells me that he wants to dress more feminine. Was supportive of this. I wasn't attracted to it, but it made him happy and it wasn't affecting our relationship, so I just was supportive and helped him with sizing, hairstyles, and so on. However, as time goes on, it seems my husband has gotten to being very submissive in the bedroom. We were previously in a Dom relationship and he was the Dom. I'm not into being dominant, and it doesn't help me. It doesn't do anything for me. But I do it pretty often, as it seems to be what he's very into. He started dressing almost entirely feminine and is almost starting to steal my feminine personality and looks and style. He steals my clothes often and copies my mannerisms. He also comments on how jealous he is of my body and appearance. I don't feel like I'm in a relationship anymore, but a friendship with a jealous friend, and I know how awful that sounds. He Googles frequently about transitioning, and when I've asked him about this, he says it's just something that he's thought about, but does not think it's something he wants. I find it really hard to believe that, considering all the changes in Google searches, but I, of course, never press the issue. I am a heterosexual woman, and I'm getting less and less attracted to him seemingly every day. He's pushing my boundaries when we have sex because he will push me to be dominant, even if I tell him I'm not in the mood for that. I feel like I don't know who I am married to anymore. I want to be happy, so sad. I want him to be happy so bad, but if this is what he wants, his happiness does not coincide with my happiness. I love him more than anything, and I want my daughter to have both of us, but this doesn't feel right anymore. I don't know what to do. Um, yeah, same issue. It's like I'm gonna have a kid and then tune out, and then it's like, what are you gonna do? You're stuck. You're stuck, bitch. Uh, N- Nuevo no Novu Love says, and this says cis bi woman who adores her trans wife replies, you said that you just had a baby, and I can imagine that's impacting all this as well. The whole pregnancy and shift to parenthood is often highly gendered, so it can reveal a lot of dysphoria for trans people. It may just be that you're not going to be romantically and sexually attracted to your spouse as a woman. That's not anyone's fault. However, I am also reading that you two are not communicating well. Your partner is doing things you feel uncomfortable with, and that directly affects you, like pressuring you to have certain kinds of sex and making weird comments about your body, but it seems to be not something you felt like you can talk about. I think that needs to change. And oh shit, it's Cassie replies, I can confirm that the revelations that new parenthood can bring. My wife, cis F, and I, M to F, just had our second child a couple months ago, and it brought a lot of thoughts and feelings I've had my entire life into razor sharp focus. Ta-da! It turns out I'm a woman. Yeah, it is. You know, these before the internet. Like, remember when the internet was like a new thing? Assuming you're old enough to remember when the internet was a new thing. Nobody had ever heard of shit like the furry fandom. It was just like something that nobody had ever talked about, like never conceived, except for like really strange weirdos who were into like animation and cartoons and stuff who join Zines. But then after it becomes an internet thing, it's like everyone knows what a furry is. And CSI Miami is doing episodes about furries. And it's like it used to be that weirdos who wanted to cross dress were like isolated in their village. You know, there's one guy in Dusseldorf who's like, I'm gonna dress up as a woman, and he does it, and he just steals his wife's clothing and dresses up and thinks, ooh, that's hot, and then that's the end of it. And then at a certain point, it becomes like, oh, that's hot. I'm gonna go on the internet, and then I'm gonna talk to people who are also into this. And then when he does that, he says, no, actually, you're totally a woman in a man's body. You should just cut your dick off and abandon your wife and children and pursue this as a full time lifestyle. And then they do that, and I just have to be okay with that. When it's like a feedback loop, where if the internet didn't exist to connect these people together, this would never be a thing. There would be no fucking way. It would be like a shameful secret at best, or something that people never like don't even pursue. You know, like the thought would never even occur to them to pursue it unless it's like put in their face 24/7, which is probably what the great trans experiment is right now. It's like if we shove this in the face of every fucking child in the public school system, how many of them will start calling themselves queer? And the answer is about 20%. And like obviously that would never be the case if they weren't pushing it so aggressively. Rip X for Nutmeg on Twitter says a breastfeeding help group on Facebook has turned off the comments to a thread about a trans woman who took drugs to stimulate milk production and pretend to give birth to a dead baby in order to live out a lactating fantasy. Women who said they were upset by this were silenced. And I guess that is the lovely creature who was doing this. Apparently they were doxxed. And then he says over here, 37 weeks into my simulated pregnancy, still being a busy bee worker who's not taking selfies. If I remember this right, I don't know if it's in the exact same. No, the next one's on elaboration, but I think I talked about this on stream even. Is that this person or people like them take specific kinds of lactation assistance that women will take. It's not approved in the U.S., I think, because there are concerns that the medication is pregnant in the lactation, and that can cause it causes heart palpitations in adults. So the FDA is afraid that this medication, if it's present in the lactate, will give heart issues to infants who are breastfeeding. The other issue is that although men can be stimulated into lactation, it's like a it's not it's like coconut milk versus actual like cow milk. It's sort of this opaque I'm making myself gag. It's it's a nutritionless fluid that is just like the water in the milk. It's not actual milk. It doesn't have like the reason why breast milk is so important is that it has things that stimulate the digestive system and the immune system, and it has vitamins and fat and sugars, and it has all sorts of things. It has literally everything that a newborn baby will need. And the stimulated breast milk that these people are doing is a hormone concoction and water and maybe like pus, and they're feeding that to infants, and it's just like, this is exactly like motherhood. This is so gender euphoric to me right now. It's like, if you gave even like a single solitary fuck about your kid, you would not be doing this to them. But it's entirely about self-fulfillment. I mean, the wife means nothing, the babies mean nothing. It's just like, how can I live in my fantasy a little bit more convincingly? Oh boy. Forever Tired 7, 2 years ago, says, fiance just told me he's trans and I am 8 months pregnant. Last week, my fiance, 7 months together, sat me down and told me he'd been going to therapy for the past month and has realized he is transgender. I am currently 35 weeks pregnant and a total wreck. I am, of course, shocked. I have feeling many different feelings: grief, betrayal, shame, guilt, anger, and so many more I can't describe. But what has hurt me the most was him telling me he already has an appointment to start hormones. This was made before telling me and after only 5 therapy sessions. It is 2 weeks before my due date, and I feel like I wasn't even considered before he decided this. I have no time to even try to accept him as telling me he's transgender before he starts the hormones. He won't reschedule or consider the fact that I'm about to have a baby. We have 3 other children. 2 are mine and 1 with him. He told me that he would disappear if that's what I want. It's up to me, but I feel like I don't have any choice. I'm a Sam and have nothing. I don't know what that means. Stay-at-home mom and have nothing. I couldn't leave right now if I wanted to. I'm still lost and hurt. He wants me to stay and make it work with him, but he's not giving me a chance to even bring home a new baby and have time as a family to enjoy that. Starting hormones will overshadow everything, and that's all he cares about. All he seems to at this point, if the birth of the new baby wasn't considered in his timing. That's like a continuation. That's all he cares about, even with the new baby. It just seems so soon, saying that he realized who he is and it has to be now. He also told me that he had stopped sleeping with me because he couldn't feel attraction for me anymore because he couldn't get past his envy. That killed me. I don't know what to do or what I'm looking for here. I have no one to talk to other than my therapist, but seeing her didn't help much. But there doesn't seem to be anything else that would help. I'm losing the man I love no matter what I do. All these things I love about him, he hates. It feels like everything we had was a lie because he lied to me the whole time, to himself and to me. I'm just so lost on top of all this. I'm having a baby very soon. Um, let's see. There's 4 replies to this. Novo Love, the same person from before, says, my partner came out to me when I had a newborn. I probably would have divorced her if she did it while I was pregnant. Thankfully, this baby was a good sleeper, and if it happened with the baby's one's newborn colic, we wouldn't probably be married anymore. So that's shitty timing for sure, but also not uncommon, as that transition in life combined with dysphoria can tip a lot of trans people over the edge. So I understand her needs to transition, but she's going to have to be very careful to pay appropriate attention to you and the baby. Very pregnant people, delivery and newborn stages are all hands on deck situation, blah, blah, blah. So basically, Novo Love has like Stockholm syndrome too. Like, yeah, my husband also trapped me before revealing his trap card and completely fucking over my entire life. Ink the Badger says, on the bit, this is a cis F married to an MTF. On the bit about envy, yeah, my partner had uterus envy as well. I luckily knew about the eventual transition when we got together, and we're just in the process of figuring out the how. We, though, maybe have a couple kids, put something on ice, and we snuck one in before the hormones. But the uterus envy was so bad that we decided we'd be one and done. And IVF is expensive, and we don't have that kind of money. So this person's just an idiot, and they got into a relationship knowing that they would have to do this. And now they had 1 kid, which is, as far as I'm concerned, just like child abuse to bring a kid into this. Epic Zeroth says, how do you know that? It sounds like neither of you are considering the other one at all. If your fiance needs hormones now, that's her prerogative. It sucks that she didn't tell you earlier, but it sounds like if sounds like you would have told her to wait, which he likely anticipated and wanted to avoid. It's any kind of, that's why they're so sensitive about it. It's like any kind of doubt about their identity makes them insecure and they can't stand it. Your fiance did not betray you or lie to you. That is a toxic viewpoint. You aren't a victim of your spouse's transition. Even if you are 35 weeks pregnant, other people are still going through stuff and feeling their feelings. Look up and see them instead of focusing inward. You will have to work together now more than ever, and it's such a fun and cool journey to take. Modern, medical, miracle, cutting edge type stuff that only a select few get to experience. It's an exclusive club to be invited to. You aren't losing, you're growing. From Scarlet Crush, who is queer as fuck. I love, I love that it's like if you, the position here, and I mean to be fair, this is like -8 points. So I guess even in this community, it's not well received. But the viewpoint is, if you don't completely enable this mentally ill man to do whatever the fuck he wants at your own expense, you are the abuser. You are toxic. You are the problem. Is pregnancy envy a thing? From Bailey Brews. I have a coworker who found out that she is pregnant, and while I'm happy for her, I can't feel the swirl of emotions that bounces between bitter envy and loss. I know it doesn't make any sense. Oh, sorry, I know it doesn't make me any less of a woman, but I feel awful, empty. Should I just be happy for her and that should be enough? Is this normal? Meredith AC transgender says, yes, pregnancy envy is a thing. Cis women experience it too. I don't even like kids, but I know that if I did want to have kids, the only way I would have them is by carrying them myself. I decided to not freeze sperm prior to commencing HRT because of how strongly I feel about it. Back when I was a young egg, I had a real obsession. I was heavily denying any transness, but I was looking into things like male lactation because, damn it, at the very least, if I had kids, I was going to breastfeed. We already talked about that. I am even envious of when they try to have their menstruation, because I suppose that means they can get pregnant, that I will never be able to know what it is as a woman. God, this is a train wreck of a statement. Or simply because it means that they were born well with their uterus and everything, something that I cannot say either. In fact, I would prefer 1,000 times to be born the ugliest and most sterile trans cis than to be trans or a sterile cis woman than to be trans and carry the shit hanging between my legs. Bailey Bruce replies, I feel this too. I have another coworker who tells me how lucky I am. I don't have to deal with periods every time she has hers. I'm just like, thanks. Don't feel lucky at all, really. Kind of feel like the opposite, knowing I have to pay thousands to even be remotely comfortable in my body, but yeah, thanks. Russ Tofkuls says, we likely will never experience full womanhood, periods, and pregnancy, so yes, we are all jealous to some degree. And the king, who is now the queen, I guess, Lily 13, she, her, MTF. So this is a 13-year-old boy going by the king, or the queen, formerly the king, and Lily. For me, I get sad over the fact I cannot give birth even though I would never want to. The fact that a 13-year-old boy is thinking about having a baby, carrying a baby, is proof that the internet is fucking cancer. And you should not be allowed online until you're 18. I think that would improve things for a lot of people. You know, this whole reminds me, by the way, the people, all these posts, it kind of reminds me of this Reddit post that goes like, you'll never be a woman. You have no womb. You have no ovaries. You have no eggs. You are a homosexual man twisted by drugs and surgery into a crude mockery of nature's perfection. All the validation you get is two-faced and half-hearted. Behind your back, people mock you. Your parents are disgusted and ashamed of you. Your friends laugh at your ghoulish appearance behind closed doors. Men are utterly repulsed by you. Thousands of years of evolution have allowed men to sniff out frauds with incredible efficiency. Oh, I fucked it up. I was doing so well, too. Even trannies who pass look uncanny and unnatural to a man. Your bone structure is a dead giveaway, and even if you manage to get a drunk guy home, he'll turn tail and bolt the second he gets a whiff of your diseased, infected accident. Ah, feels good. Trans wife is upset about never being able to experience pregnancy. From confused trans wife. Who says, I'm a cis woman. I guess they really fucked up entering their username then. My beautiful wife is also a trans woman. Just recently, we found out we are expecting. I'm 5 weeks along, so this is very, very recent. While my wife is super excited about having children, she's upset that she will never experience pregnancy the way that every other woman does. What can I do to help her out here? I'm completely at a loss. Ain't no rest for the wicked, buddy. Oh, this is another person who's deciding to feed babies disgusting pus-filled hormone juice. Mega7 says, pumping that milk. God, I'm getting sore. And then we have a picture of a man with breast. Ugh. Just thinking about that pus coming out is making me. It's really hard. I want to throw up. Coffee Bean asks, are you preparing for a baby? If so, congrats. Also, that is a shit ton of meds. Mega replies, yep, my little stinker is due 12/5, which I guess means that baby is currently existing and being fed this shit. Can't wait to breastfeed with him. Usually when you talk, like, I don't know, if you're thinking about a kid, you're like, oh, I can't wait to, like, go to the beach, go to the lake with it. I want to have a picnic with my kid. Can't wait for its first words when it goes to school. All that stuff. That's sexual parenthood. What's this guy thinking about? I can't wait to stuff my moob into its mouth and say, drink, you little fucker. Validate my gender euphoria. Posted by Mega7 6 days ago, so this was 3 days before. Inducing lactation is no joke, y'all. Constance Rosenthal, 39 M to F, HRT, 13th month, separated with kids. Excellent representation. Says, what are you using? Mega7 says, for lactation induction, domperidone times 2, 4 times daily, fenugreek times 3, 3 times daily, blessed thistle 3 times daily. I also have vitamins, spironolactone, and antidepressants in there. Oof, that is a good cocktail of drugs to be feeding a newborn baby. That kid is going to be coming out the womb depressed and looks up and says, "Oh, my mom is so beautiful. Where's my dad? Oh no!" And then just bam, hits with that newborn fetus depression. But thankfully, the Troon breast milk is loaded up with those heckin' wholesome antidepressants to fix them up, stop them from crawling out into traffic. Trans woman comes out to 3-year-old daughter who calls her beautiful every day. Well, that kid has a heart of gold. Rachel has been honest with daughter Ray Lee about her transition. Sales consultant Rachel Dozier from Iowa, USA, has feelings that she was transgender since she was 6 years old, but Rachel, 30, knew that the idea of not identifying with the gender assigned to her at birth, male, wasn't considered taboo, so she repressed those feelings until she was 28. After growing up with gender dysphoria, Rachel experienced feelings of discomfort and distress, making it difficult to live day to day. In August 2011, Rachel met Lindsay Dozie Jaggers, and the two got married, which Rachel was so excited about, to fill a void that had always existed. 3 years later, Lindsay gave birth to their daughter, Rayleigh Doza, and they were both ecstatic. However, they separated due to mutual differences. In a bid to start being her authentic self, Rachel began taking a hormone prescription, and when she began to notice the changes, she came out to her family, friends, and coworkers. I'll just skip to this box here. Lindsay fell pregnant in September 2016 and gave birth to a little girl, Rayleigh. I was totally ecstatic. I always wanted a child of my own. Although there was a fair amount of jealousy felt, as I was envious at how close Lindsay was to Rayleigh during the pregnancy. They split in February 2019, and shortly after, Rachel joined a transgender support group where she was given the number of a doctor who specialized in transgender care. Well, what a happy ending. This is from a throwaway account, and my partner is trans, titled, I don't know how to feel. I need to preface this, which reminds me, there's a very old post on the Kiwi Farms. I'll look it up real quick. There's this guy called Tranlord, and he made a post on the forum like in 2015, and then he says, I'll just read the first sentence. I'm going to preface this by saying I like the idea of fucking dogs. I would also like to say I would never fuck a dog in real life or look at bestiality porn involving real things, as that is animal abuse. It So whenever I see a sentence that starts off with I need to preface this by saying I'm expecting it to conclude by saying I like the idea of fucking dogs, because that was a spicy meme on the forum for many months, if not years. So they start off by saying I need to preface this by saying I like the idea of fucking dogs and that I have changed a lot in the last decade. My views 10 years ago when I left my parents' house were not the same as they are now. I had to teach myself, and I'm still learning about this community. Blah blah blah. I'm an open and accepted. That's the problem. You cannot be an accepting and open-minded person. Women are such people pleasers. Like, oh, I want everyone to be. I just want us all to live in harmony. Oh joy. Oh, my partner's trans. Oh, I guess that we can make that work. No, you need to be like, bro, you're fucking embarrassing me. You look like a fucking faggot. And if you want to stay together, I'm not gonna be your bottom bitch in this shit. I'm gonna leave, and I'm gonna get child support from you, and you're not going to be able to buy all the Funko Pops and HRT titty sprinkles that you want, and you just got to fucking deal with it. And I'll say that you beat me, and I'll get sole custody. Fuck you, bro. You can't be nice. You can't negotiate with gender terrorists, okay? I am a cis woman, and I have been with my husband/partner for 7 years. We just celebrated our 4-year anniversary and are expecting our first child later this year. I have loved every minute of our life together. He is my best friend. Life in the last couple months has been different. We are hardly intimate, which is frustrating for me because my hormones are just all over the place and my drive is so high. This isn't the first time that our drives have been the opposite, but we usually are able to work through it. He has been very distant throughout this pregnancy, and I thought it was because he isn't allowed any of my appointments with me. I guess because of COVID. I know going through pregnancy is different for each partner, but this has been abnormally distant, which hurts. Last week I went out of town as quarantine and being pregnant was not been good for our already unstable mental health, and was encouraged by him to do so. So he said, get the fuck out. She says it was a great week, aside from him not being able to talking to me like usually when I'm out of town. So they didn't talk at all. Like, this dude is just jerking off. Like, he's saying get the fuck out because he wants a week by himself to jerk off to tranny sissy hypno. Like a full week of 24/7 sissy hypno, playing on like 8 different monitors all around his room while he's in like adult-sized child clothing. I am 6 months. Well, I guess I skipped something. He says he's having trouble with his sexuality and says that he feels more like a woman than he does a man. We have lightly touched on this topic in the past, and we have tried a few things, but he suddenly stopped and doesn't talk about it. I am 6 months pregnant and all kinds of emotional. I've been supportive of him. That's your first problem. But I am feeling all kinds of things. I don't even know how to process this. I love him, and we see a commitment to love each other, stay by each other through sickness and health. He says that he still loves me, and his feelings toward me have not changed. He's seeing a therapist. I know he is confused and how he's feeling and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I've already basically given my take on this. Don't support your fucking retard husband in destroying himself. So this is Slumberjack, and my partner is trans. At a crossroads, need advice, trigger warning, detransition. Yesterday, my wife, 32 cis female, told me, 34 male to female, that after a long internal struggle, our romantic relationship would be ending. I've been transitioning on HRT for 1.5 years, and the whole time I've known that this was a possibility. Still, I feel completely blindsided by the announcement. The problem is simple. She's straight. That is such a cop-out. It's like, oh, you're such a beautiful woman now, and I'm just straight. You know how it is. You know, I can't change my feelings. I'm just into men. It's like, no, you disgust me, and I hate you, and I hate what you've done to me, and how you've ruined my life. But they can't say that, because then they're, like, transphobic. Here's the thing. If I had known that I was choosing between the transition and my family, we have 8-month-old twins. The answer would be obvious and immediate. I will always choose them. It feels insane to lose them over this. I sat down with her today, explained my feelings. We made a bargain. I will try to put my transition behind us, and we'll try to reconnect emotionally. Counseling will be a key component along with open communication. How can I give us the best chance to make this work? I've heard that detransition is challenging, but I think we have a shot. My dysphoria is mild. I spent decades wishing but not acting on my feelings. It's just not as important as my relationship. This is only my experience and should not be extrapolated to all trans people. Alternatively, am I fooling myself and prolonging our heartache? All I know is that I have to do something. Too long didn't read. I might be a woman, but my wife is straight. Can I save my family? The cat in gray says, this is tricky. Now just imagine like a dude in like a dress and a wig doing that thing where they like put their fingertips together in like a little temple and like, I'm going to have to use all of my internet pseudoscience to find a politically correct answer to this post. He continues, obviously your experiences are your own, and maybe you're one of the few trans people who can live a reasonably happy life entirely as your assigned gender at birth. However, it's also a fairly common phenomenon to experience only mild dysphoria, I guess is what they say. This just goes to show that if women just set their foot down and say, like, no, you're not going to jerk off to sissy porn anymore and you're going to be a man, it will encourage them to not be gigantic fucking freaks. Oh, this one's tiny. How am I supposed to read this? Anastali says, I get sympathetic pregnancy boobs around pregnant ladies. Started with my wife carrying our son back when I was pretending to be cis. Now I get some hormonal symptoms around pregnant ladies in general. Unfortunately, they go away. I had solid A cups at one point and am so skinny they were prominent. Gives me hope for when I start HRT in a couple months. Sympathy moves. That is fascinating. Darkfish 301 says that's really interesting. I guess, and the trans scientist sitting there with his fingers arched, like, sympathy boobs. Do we have this in the database? Do we have a study for this? Can we get a Snopes debunk on the sympathy boobs? This is our witches versus patriarchy. So this is a M to W, male to witch, saying, because I prayed the word I want. I do not know what the fuck that means. Look at how normal he is. Look at how he has a kid too, by the way. Look how normal this dude is. He's like perfectly average guy. Looks just fine. Looks above average. And has a cute baby. And it's just like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to become a witch. Sorry, mom. Sorry, dad. Sorry, little kid. Sorry, wife. I'm a witch now, and you can't stop me. And look, this has 6.6 thousand upvotes and a wholesome Big Chungus Seal Award from the fine Redditors. Catherine. Oh, it's Trans Salamander, my old friend. That local trans friend I hung out with recently messaged me after heading home and literally asked, are you a little? It's really that obvious, I guess. Yeah, I guess when you walk around with like a pacifier and like a dog collar around your neck, it's like, yeah, oh, this person's fucked up in the head. Tori, the unbirthday girl, somebody who helped me considerably in early transition, came out as a little the other day, and I had to find out from my wife sneering about it. It's sad because what she said put being little in a wonderful and uplifting context. Between you and her, I realize I'm a bit of a little myself. And it's as much as part of my identity as the trans part, but it's part that my wife has been fighting against for even longer, ever since she gave me an ultimatum. No way. Let me take that again so I can say this in full context. I realized I'm a bit of a little myself, and that it's as part of my identity as much as being trans, but it's part that my wife has been fighting against for even longer, ever since she gave me an ultimatum to choose between her and my Jigglypuff collection. How bad is your Jigglypuff collection where your wife is like, you gotta get rid of this shit? You gotta get rid. You can keep one Jigglypuff, but the rest have got to fucking go. Catherine, the trans salamander, backs him up and says that doesn't sound like a very healthy relationship. A grown man should be able to dress as a little girl, as an infant, child, woman, girl, and suck on pacifiers and sleep in a room completely full of Jigglypuffs. And if a woman says, "What the fuck are you doing?" that is an abuser. Tori, the unbirthday girl, replies saying, it's not, but I feel trapped for various reasons. And every time I reach out to get help, I realize I don't know where things will end up because there are so many layers to it. My wife was 15 when her brother and sister were born, and my oldest will be 12, and he will be getting another little sibling this fall. So he is currently in a room in a onesie with a pacifier, calling himself a baby, shitting his pants probably, in a bedroom full of Jigglypuffs, which should be getting changed into a nursery for the anticipation of this child. And he's calling his pregnant wife and the mother of his child a abuser because she is saying, "Bro, you gotta get rid of the fucking Jigglypuffs. This is ridiculous." Okay. So it doesn't help that these are all phone screenshots, but at least they're numbered. So this is my partner is trans. She says, "So tired. Sorry, this is long. Not sure where to even begin. I'm trying to use more neutral terms because they haven't concretely asked me to switch, but they use neutral terms when talking about themselves. So for this, I will refer to them as P. But if a he slips in there, I'm not doing it on purpose. We have been together for over a decade, married 7 years, and have young children. While we were dating, P told me that he had an interest in cross-dressing. Should have fucking left. You had a red flag 10 years ago. I bet you she thinks every day I should have fucking... once I heard that, shouldn't have. And that's why if you have ever been fucked in the ass, if you're bisexual, you should never... Well, you should because they should dump you for being gay. But women will avoid bisexual men because it is a red flag, exactly like this is a red flag. Said they just needed me to know, but that it was only a curiosity. It would never be anything more. They didn't want anyone else to ever know about it. Basically, when they were alone, P just wore some of my clothing that I left at their place. I guess overall you could consider me a fairly traditional or even vanilla when it comes to this stuff, so it made me a bit uncomfortable, but I figured that if that's all it was, it's fine. We got married, and sometime after, I started to find a few items of lingerie, panties, etc. that P had hidden. We would talk, and P would say they are just curious and exploring, still nothing more. I was getting suspicious of what P was looking at on the computer, so while P was out one day, I looked and found lots of pornographic anime type stuff. I confronted P about it, and they deleted everything and threw out all the clothing. Things got better. I thought it was done. We started building our family, went through some very, very difficult years together with that, but we made it through. P has always been into video games, but started to turn to that as an outlet, spending much more time playing games than spending time with me and kids. P got more and more clothing. Then just over a year ago, P told me that they think they are transgender and that they may be considering transitioning. I was pregnant at the time, so was extra hormonal and emotional. Given our difficult pregnancy history, it was even more stressful. We were also in the process of moving back across the country for P's career. Looking back now, I know I didn't handle things in the best way to support P. Like the internalized guilt here is just like, yeah, I should have done more to accelerate this fucking car crash. Basically, the entire pregnancy was so stressful that I feel like I had PTSD from it. P started dressing in feminine clothing once in a while and then would get mad when I didn't react in a positive way. I was trying to process all this while taking care of a toddler and being pregnant again. I never asked P not to do it, but it was a weird for me, so I wasn't exactly going in to give big hugs or kisses while P was wearing feminine clothing and had hair straightened, body completely shaved, etc. It got to a point where it was a daily discussion, and when I say discussion, I mean P yelling at me saying I was unreasonable for having a hard time with this, and that they are just trying to be real, and that they are finally figuring out who they are, and why they have been unhappy for so long. But I won't let them. And I've been keeping them in a box of what my expectation is and what they're trying to do. Anything different, then I throw a fit. Yelling, swearing, talking about thoughts of harming themselves, and all this took place in front of our toddler. I would ask P repeatedly to stop, to not do this in front of our children, but they did it anyways. I was exhausted and worried about the stress affecting our unborn baby, but P would keep going. At one point, I locked myself in the bathroom while toddler was napping, hoping that it would be enough to make P leave me alone, but P just sat outside the door and continued to talk, criticize, and yell at me. A week before our baby was born, P told me they didn't know if they should even be in the hospital with me. I share all these pieces to give an idea of why I have a hard time forgetting that happened. I still just get upset thinking about all of it, that something could have happened to our baby, and that thought wasn't enough to make me stop their behavior at the time. I know P was having a personal breakdown, and I don't fault them for that. But when it comes to the kids, that's just not acceptable to me. We continue to try and work things through, talking with a marriage therapist, and P has talked with an individual therapist specializing in gender issues. Stay fucking away from those therapists because they are always going to tell you, yeah, just tune out. Just try. Here's your meds. You're now on like a super mega. You have to drink this gallon of horse piss every day, so that you can become a real woman. Which now that I think about it, it sounds like all these like hormones and shit kind of sounds like witchcraft. Like you go to the shaman, he's like, "Oh, you want to transform into a butterfly? You just gotta, eat this coffee brewed with crushed butterfly wings and okra." Um, I have honestly never felt worse about myself as I have in the past year, and it all stems from this and things P has said to me. P has criticized me regarding my character, how I am as a person, as my mom and wife, my family, where I'm from, my faith, basically everything that means something to me in some way or another. I know P said these things from a place of fear and desperation, but they obviously feel that way if they are saying it. P told me on multiple occasions that all our problems in our relationship are my fault because I'm too rigid. This is honestly the only thing we have ever argued about, but I guess P has just been trying for so long to go along with what I want to make me happy that now when P is finally doing what they want to, it isn't meshing well. In that sense, I do feel guilty that P felt they needed to do that, but I also feel lied to in that they were sort of pretending before. P has asked how I could just ignore how they were feeling and admit at times I should have figured out some things, but was naive of the situation and just attributed P's bad moods to stress and work. How could I fix something that I didn't know was broken? I'm all for people being true to themselves and have never cared about what other people have done. But when it's my own relationship and I'm expected to change my roles and everything to something I'm not comfortable with, it makes it much more difficult. I love P, and we've been through so much together. I don't know if I can handle this. It terrifies me. I'm ashamed of myself that I can't just accept it. This is the issue. The issue is not that this person is not accepting. The issue is that you think that you should be accepting of this. It I realize I'm like an outlier now. I'm not even an outlier. It's just like the American, like the Western culture, people who are online, not even in all of America, just like people who have access to Reddit. Uh, this is unacceptable. Um, During pregnancy, P threw out all their stuff again, but has gotten a few more things and has started wearing more gender affirming clothing around the house. And now this woman has been finally buckbroken and is using the language of the conqueror. She's speaking Transanese and is using shit like gender affirming. No, he's cross dressing like a fucking weirdo, is what he's doing. It was a couple days in a row now, and there are times when I feel like it's not that big a deal, but other times I feel very uncomfortable, especially if P tries to be close or kind of flirty with me. So she's barely able to tolerate seeing it. But then when he tries to like be a sexual creature again, she's like revolted by it. P says they're getting closer each day to just being more comfortable with the idea of being alone. Our families live far away and have known nothing about any of us. P isn't super close with their family, but are wonderful people. They are pretty conservative, though, and P is nervous they will disown them. P told me just yesterday about what was going on. They are shocked and have lots of questions. I've always been very close with my family, and I hate having to pretend that, uh, I guess that everything is okay. Everything is okay when I'm struggling. COVID, uh, that's a non sequitur. In the capacity that Pizza wants me to. Oh, wait. Blah, blah, blah. I'll skip ahead a little bit. For Valentine's Day, I got P gift cards to buy clothing. Now you're just enabling it. She got buck broken by the arguing and the gaslighting and shit. And now it's just like, whatever. Go get dressed. Um, P agreed and said that if it was a big step, then still said, if this is a big step for you, I just don't think you'll ever be accepting. I know that I haven't handled things in the best way, and I feel terrible about that. But I also don't think it's fair to expect me to be okay with everything so big when it definitely changes aspects of our relationship and life. I read another post on here where people said that people don't choose their gender, but I don't. but they don't choose their sexuality either, and I think that's where the problem lies. I'm not asking them to choose the gender that suits me best, but I feel like P is asking me to simply choose sexuality preference that works for them in this change. Yeah, it's like it's entirely like selfish, obviously, but people are being brainwashed into thinking that no, this is like a healthy, normal thing, and it's like if your husband like hurts himself at work and has a back injury, now they have to transition to a desk job, and you have to deal with the months of not having any income while he learns how to type for the first time. It's like trying to recontextualize destroying your body and your family intentionally is like just an obstacle that's a typical thing in an ordinary relationship. Oh fuck. Wow. My partner is trans, my wife and I for Easter. No way. One of these is biologically a woman? I got pregnant in 2019 and had our daughter in 2020. My wife then came out as trans when our daughter was around 4 months. It took me a while to adjust, but we're happy as wives and two mommies to our beautiful daughter. Yes, I've had people tell me I'm so brave for staying with her. No, I'm not. She's the brave one. These are like two retarded people. Look at this. I mean, if you're just listening for whatever reason, I'm assuming that the egg-shaped one with half her head shaved is the because the other one is just so ugly that there's no way that is not yeah, and like the arms are bigger. It's just like the shoulders are broader and stuff. Like they're both completely. They have to be British. These have to be British people. I'm gonna look it up real quick. You Semi Raven. Hopefully, I'll have a nice, easy. Oh, nerdy alt mom into anime and TikToks. Wow, I wonder. Imagine being into anime. um, nonverbal child scratches when mad and told no. So their kid is now like a nonverbal autistic Spurglord that scratches at them instead of speaking. They have a new post. I ended up calling 911 after my spouse cut their wrist and it was bleeding. I told them it was suicide by cop, and thankfully they were able to talk my spouse down and take them to the hospital. They willingly went and put into a 72-hour-old. I don't know what to do. I'm so lost. My spouse is suicidal. I'm not a lost. Oh my god, they're not British. They're from Bell County, Texas. This is truly depressing. And I was right. They are the one on the left. They've grown their hair out now. This is what they look like as of 8 months ago. But they yeah, they're now okay, they're trans the trans wife is cutting themselves and trying to commit suicide by police, and their child is a non-autistic or non-verbal autist that scratches at them. But at least they got anime, and at least they got each other. What a heckin' wholesome 100 whatever family. Hyperbolic Chamber commented on thank you for everything you've done for me, kind strangers. Transparently awesome. Don't you no, no, don't you start saying transparently. Don't you fucking dare. I'm not okay with that. That's not acceptable branding. That was me as well, being 27, and after having a biological kid, I was told something, and then it cuts off. Hyperbolic Chamber replies saying, becoming a parent churned up my dysphoria until the egg cracked. Is that what happened to you, or were you knowingly struggling with this pre-kid? Honestly, a little bit of both, but it solidified right before my child was born, something I didn't feel right. It was made more clear after I talked to a friend that I trusted. So I knew my whole life that I wasn't completely comfortable in my own skin, but raised so sheltered by conservative boomers and raised in a mostly conservative area. LGBT things were not discussed when I was growing up. I knew about gay men and women, but trans cross-dressers were never explained to me, then again, nor were they mocked. It was just a hush topic, blah, blah, blah. Not until I started searching online a few years ago, and now, here I am. Oh, I should say, I mean, no disrespect for the term crossdresser. Whatever. Hyperbolic says, I grew up similarly with moderate parents in a religious conservative town. By the way trans women were depicted in media, my thoughts were that life isn't for me. I found myself bonding with my son the same way my wife did, and I felt jealous of her pregnancy. It's just proof I'm right. That without the internet, these people would just be like, uh, hey, Sneed, you ever feel like a woman sometimes? Nah, boy, that ain't right. Shucks, I never thought of it that way. I'm gonna go back to fishing with my boy. It's like that. That would be the conversation without the internet poisoning absolutely every facet of life in society. Um, NBS Analog commented on about gender therapy and R9 non-binary talk, saying, I've been going to therapy for months. My gender identity keeps falling into non-binary. I really don't feel like a man or a woman. I don't even categorize things like pregnancy or breastfeeding as female so much as nurturing. I seem to be distinctly agender and can't easily identify the gender of others. Gender blind, or what is feminine and masculine. That's such a cope. Yeah, I see like a bikini model and I think, God, is that a man? Is that a man right there? And then I see like a buff dude. I'm thinking like, that could be a beautiful woman. This is such a maybe in England. Maybe in England you can't tell very well. These realizations are vaguely helpful, but nothing. Or Bell County, Texas, as we learned. These revelations are vaguely helpful, but nothing changes my fundamental agender feelings about myself or others, no matter how much I chip away at myself. It's actually pretty frustrating. NBS Analog asks an R transgender, real penis versus pegging. Man to non-binary here. My wife pegged me a while back and it didn't do much for me. I've noticed since starting HRT, I'm more attracted to the idea of being fucked like a woman, though unfortunately still do not find men attractive. I wondered how y'all felt about the difference between being fucked in the ass by a biopenis versus a dildo. Was there a big difference in satisfaction? For those with a vagina, less applicable to me, but very curious. Sorry for the crude language. This is a curiosity while taking a poo post. Wow. Incredible. Thanks for letting us know. NB says, I wanted to be bisexual my whole life, but just couldn't find men attractive. Now, I still don't find them aesthetically attractive, but I do find them sexually attractive. It's like a switch flipped around 8 months HRT. I feel fully pansexual now at 10 months. Was it HRT? Absolutely. My sexual desire to be penetrated and feel more feminine in contrast to masculine form is coming from my femininity is from HRT. I still prefer women primarily, but men give me a different experience that I also crave. He continues, thanks for sharing. I realized that about 8 months of HRT that I was very triggered by my wife being pregnant breastfeeding. Oh, so that's why. That's why this one ended up in this collection. I avoided being around my wife a lot during that time, and I feel triggered hearing about it, so I totally relate. I'm not sure I would personally pursue the investment of a uterus for that experience due to the complexity and availability. I wouldn't know where to source my uterus. What woman am I going to hack apart and take a uterus from? But if the technology was further along, I think I would. Side note: I believe I am drawn to I believe I'm drawn to programming software because it's like creating life in a way. Please don't sexualize coding. I don't need this. Um, Envy is analog for 33 points. So this is like the only thing that has upvotes on any of their posts because it's like, ooh, I'm getting checked out. Even my wife is staring at my chest. I know it's not a sexual thing for her. I think humans just look at boobs sometimes. Your wife is thinking, what the fuck did I do to my life? I should have married in college to the lawyer guy and said I married this fucking faggot who watches anime. I have B cups and enjoy showing my boobs to people. I suppose it's a combo of my pride and my progress as trans feminine and biohacking. That said, I need to like and trust a person. I think of my boobs as art, and I have and like having and seeing boobs. They certainly can be sexualized as well, but that is also beautiful to me. Assigned male at birth, I'm going 8 months HRT, and I'm really starting to enjoy penetration and prostate orgasms. My orgasms are now crazy sensory overloads, seeing geometry, hearing buzzing, laughing, and crying at the same time. Never had anything like that pre-HRT, kind of a new category of orgasm for me. I seem to be able to have quite a few of those in a session, 5 plus. I've also had orgasms from nipple stimulation, but that is, and the cuts off. Uh, no regrets, he says. Feeling okay about myself, no regrets. So there we go. HRT is not witchcraft. This guy's like completely ruined his body. He's like sex obsessed though. He's like, no, he's getting fucked in the ass by men, and I guess he's married, so his wife lets him get fucked in the ass. But I mean, at this point, like, she doesn't care. She just stares at him sometimes when they're both in the kitchen watching movies. She'll just stare at him and think like, I hate my life. I hate my life. I can't. I'm sitting next to my man, my husband, the father of my children, dressed in drag, and he's probably daydreaming about getting fucked in the ass right now. And that's just my life. And I fucked up, and I should have listened to my mom more when she said to go marry somebody at church instead of marrying this fucking loser. Egg in real life. So this is a subreddit which was not featured anywhere else, but it is dedicated to, it's like a shit posting Reddit for trannies who specifically look for things that cause like awakenings, like trans awakenings. So this is like a group of mentally ill people who try to like convert, and they post like when they convert because it's like sexually gratifying to each other. So that's pretty hot. To Egg in real life saying, "Come out as trans to wife right before Mother's Day. Not to be hurtful, but just so you know, you have ruined this weekend for me. It only hurts a lot. Yeah, I imagine if you take Mother's Day and make it about yourself in the most horrific way possible, um, it would ruin the weekend. Not to be hurtful is immediately hurtful. I'm sorry this happened to you. Stress face. 782 upvotes for that. 3,000 for this post. And then Puppy with Hands replies, translation, I don't want you to be able to make this about you. Yeah, no shit, bro. It's Mother's Day. It's not cross-dressing weirdo day. That's half the calendar. You have one day for Mother's Day. You have half the calendar year for being a gay, being an LGBTQIP plus. You can save one day for like real women. Jealousy in men. Men in particular are susceptible to feelings of jealousy. Especially during the infant and toddler years. Your man, who may have been the picture of a doting father to be, now finds himself an outsider, an onlooker to a very unique bond, a bond with which he feels he cannot participate or compete. Even as the children become more independent, a mother's reaction to her children and her protective nature may feel exclusionary to her partner. Mothers often immerse themselves in a child's world, and that can leave very little room for the world that existed before. I mean, I guess that's true, but not like. I guess that they're explaining why they get jealous. I guess women are like when they have kids. If the father, because imagine like from an evolutionary perspective, that we have selected for mothers who will prioritize the well-being of children over their husband, right? Because once the husband has produced children, he's not necessary. I mean, in a way he's necessary, but if he's like a threat to the kids, the mother is going to prioritize protecting the kids over the father in most instances. I imagine. Um, let's say I don't know. What are you jealous of? Breastfeeding. It's all sexual. It's breastfeeding, dressing in girls' clothes, and being in maternity wear, and getting fucked in the ass. I guess that's the appeal to these people. It's not the mother daughter bond. For transgender patients, a surgeon who understands. A message with personal history and medical prowess. Marcy Bowers, 80, is a leader in sexual reassignment surgery. By age 4, Bowers knew she was different, but her journey would be decades long. I don't identify as a transgender woman. I'm a woman who has a transgender history, quoting herself on, or their self, or his self on this website. Uh, I'm assuming that this story for this transgender surgeon is going to include an egg break immediately after having a kid. I'm making a prediction here. I'm just going to say they instead of she, I guess. They were born, Mark Bowers, 61 years ago in Oak Park, Illinois, at the same hospital that would give Ernest Hemingway. She was the target of bullies in high school because I was so slight and feminine appearing, he says. The oddest of oh, the oldest of 4 siblings. And that's strange because usually the gay boys are the last ones, the youngest siblings. The oldest of 4 siblings, Bowers spent a mostly happy childhood in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin, the child of a stay-at-home mom and a furniture salesman father. When Bowers transitioned at age 37, while married and with 3 children, it cast a years-long chill on her relationship with her parents. It wasn't until Bowers' father was dying of cancer that they reconciled. At 19, Bowers hitchhiked to San Diego in hopes of transitioning and expressing herself as a woman. Instead, she got caught up in the Unification Church, whose followers are known as Moonies, which I find offensive, a cult, she says, that she later escaped. I had no prospect for paying for anything, let alone surgeries, Bauer recalls. I decided I would go back to Wisconsin. Next thing you know, I'm in college, I'm in medical school, I'm married, and I was a pretty classic case of denial, I'd say. In Madison, the science-minded Bowers earned a degree in medical microbiology because their penis is so small. It really was a solid educational foundation for her later work because their penises are so small. Bowers remains married to her wife. After the birth of their 3rd child, there was a lot of angst, she recalls. I just couldn't go on without making the transition happen. I was trying to live this false life, being a family man. I was living for others and being who I wasn't. At that point, Bowers was a mid-career OBGYN in Seattle, having delivered some 1,300 babies. In 2003, she relocated to the hinterlands of Trinidad, Colorado, which had been known since the 1970s as the sex change capital of the world because of the prolific surgeon Stanley Bieber. She learned surgical techniques under the tutelage of the late Bieber, considered one of the earliest and foremost practitioners of sex reassignment surgery. She eventually took over this practice in the small town of fewer than 10,000 residents until she moved to California. I wonder if it's porn. Porn is like 70s is when the porn became really prolific. How do I break the news to my wife? From my partner is trans, next possible 9676. How do I tell my wife that I am questioning my gender and that I am quite sure that I would like to transition? I am terrified. I did bring up cross-dressing before, and it went like a lead balloon. That happened after a lockdown at home spa and makeup evening. I was feeling such a high that it would be great to bring it further. Dress each other up and so on is a great thing to do together. I think she suspected something more was going on. So with all that, how do I broach the subject? I am also now an 8-week baby in the mix. My wife, I'm assuming that they mean spouse, came out to me when our second baby was 12 weeks old. It was rough. I supported her transition from the moment she told me, but it shook me and my mental health took a nosedive. Postpartum hormones are wild, and I don't know about your wife, but I've lost a sense of who I am over the last few years of being a stay-at-home mom. I would suggest you check in with how she is doing right now before you bring this up. If motherhood is messing with her right now, you might want to see if you can give her some extra support before adding this too. Also, when you do come out, go slow. My partner brought up hormones, surgeries, all at the same night, she told me, and I was immediately overwhelmed. Early on, she said she would like to go as slow as she could, and I would go as fast as I could. Sometimes I've had to slow her down. We postponed her initial hormone appointment because I struggled with her changing names full time. But we're struggling along and trying our best to support each other. Ultimately, I just know that it's a lot for us partners to take in, especially with a new baby in the mix. I would recommend going slowly and do what you can to support her while she processes what it all means. My wife had to work hard for the first few months to support me, but I'm in a much better place now that I can support and embrace her transition, and I hope it goes well for the both of you, with heart emojis. Okay, my voice is kind of going, so I got only a couple left. So let's just finish this up. My partner will never put me first. She got me pregnant, I miscarried, and she won't commit to being there if I need further process. I don't know what that word could have been. I stopped posting here because my girlfriend was an asshole. We kept trying, but I was too embarrassed to be part of this community because I was staying with someone who treated me like shit. I got pregnant and miscarried in summer, we think. She's had the snip, but I had missed a period and a positive test. in a heavy, painful loss at what would have been eight-ish weeks. I am now having lots of gynae symptoms. I don't know what that means. Vagina symptoms? I've never seen that word. Gynae symptoms and a lot of pain. I have a scan Tuesday to see if I need remaining products of conception removed via suction. She said that she'll take me to the scan, but she will not commit to swapping her days with the kids to ensure that she can be there. So they have multiple kids and she just lost the baby. Okay, wonderful. She will not commit to swapping her days with the kids to ensure that she can be there if I have to have a procedure which is similar to a termination for the remainder of this pregnancy that I wanted so badly. It doesn't matter that she helped create this pregnancy, she won't commit, and historically, this means she's leaving me to it, and I need to get over it. So, as far as she's concerned, the procedure is needed. I can go through this alone, scared and in pain on my own. All I want is for her to put me first in this pretty extreme and unpleasant circumstance and be there for me without me having to beg or ask or plead. I don't know how to accept that she's never going to change, that in the end that I need to end it, leave it ended, or accept my lot in life as someone who is wholly unimportant to her. I'm so scared, sad, and I feel alone. Should have put the boot on it as soon as it came up. I, 32, assigned male at birth, have no idea how to tell my 33-year-old 5-month pregnant wife that I'm questioning my gender identity and have been for many years. I'm not totally sure if this is the right sub to post this in, but someone in our coming out suggested that I post in a trans-specific sub, so here it goes. You know it's bad when you go to our coming out and they're like, we're going to have to refer you to a gender specialist over there at our my partner is trans, because we can't handle this shit. The title says it all. I am a 32-year-old man assigned male at birth. I have been questioning my gender for many, many years. Since I hit puberty, I'd say. Remember, women, the signs that your husband is going to leave you pregnant and alone while he goes out to get fucked in the ass are there from the second you meet him. If he hints that he is bisexual, that is your flag. That is your cue to Scooby-Dooby-Doo and get the fuck out of there, okay? I've told through countless cycles of cross-dressing is also a red flag, and purging clothes and toys and having the idea that maybe it's all just been a kink since my dysphoria comes and goes. However, this past year or so, it really hit me like a truck. I think my 33 female pregnant wife being pregnant has played a bit of a role, most recently because the notion of being a father has never really felt right to me, and I think it's because I'd much prefer to be a mother. There may be a tinge of jealousy there as well. I am also starting to realize that if I don't love myself and I'm not living my truest and best life, how can I expect to be a good parent to our future child? If I am not completely selfish and put myself above everything, how can I be the best father? The best father mother of my baby. Anyways, I finally started the process of searching for a gender therapist, and that will be the final nail in the coffin when he meets some California fucking horror Bergstein that tells him, yeah, just ruin everything. Just ruin everything forever. Here's some HRT kid. Knock yourself out. But it looks like I won't be able to get an appointment with one I'd like until the beginning of next month. I'm fairly certain that I want to pursue HRT and some facial feminization surgery as well as voice training, but not completely certain. That's why I was really hoping to have 1 or 2 sessions with a counselor to try and come to a conclusion before I considered coming out to my wife. However, I feel like both our clocks are ticking very fast, me being 32 and her being due in May. And since I won't be able to see a counselor until February, I'm really considering broaching the subject with her before starting therapy. I love to be able to explore my femininity more closely at home instead of in secret when she's out of the house. Instead of in secret in front of my computer watching our sissy hypno anime shit. I would love to involve her, a pregnant woman, in this, to hopefully get a better understanding of myself and identity moving forward. But I'm also worried she won't want to be with me anymore. For context, she's absolutely not transphobic or anything. That's her first mistake. But I've shaved my leg body before and brought up the idea of painting my nails and other things along those lines. She seemed kind of put off by them. Also, I love her very much and want to be with her forever, even if I end up transitioning. I'm pansexual. She's aware. Ooh, she knew. She knew. He told him, I'm a pansexual. I'm like attracted to everything. I think that love is love and cometh come, and we're all human beings on the inside. And she should have said, oh, that's nice. I've got someplace else to be. Sorry, I forgot all about it. This is incredibly rude of me, but I'm now leaving. Bye bye. But she's indicated before that she's not sexually attracted to women, and I'm afraid that we'll split up, and how could that affect our child? We both grew up with divorced parents, and I wouldn't want to do that to our child. I also recognize that this was a terrible time to drop something like this on her because she's pregnant. And yes, it is true. That is a terrible thing to do to somebody. If I'm going to come out to her soon, I recognize the stress that this could put on her, and I want to make sure 1,000% clear that I'm by no means disappearing as a parent and will be there to raise our child and support her through the pregnancy and the birth far beyond. For those of you in a similar situation on the other side, what pieces, advice, or anecdotes can you comfortably share that might help me come out to my wife without blindsiding her, hopefully? Ah. Oh, jeez. Need another sip of water for this. Long Jumping Panda says, my partner came out to me last night. So my 24-year-old cis female partner, so she's 24 years old, cis female partner, 24 male to female, came out to me last night as we were winding down for bed. I should mention that we've been together for 3.5 years, lived together for 2, been engaged for 10 months with no plans for an actual wedding so far, and I'm also currently 7 months pregnant. He asked me to continue to use I like how they have to apologize every time. He asked me to he said it's okay, so don't delete my post, please. I really need help. I'm about to kill myself. He asked me to use male pronouns for the time being while I work, so what this means for him. He had previously had a really difficult time coming out as bisexual. I'm telling you, if a guy tells you that he is bisexual, get the fuck out of that. It means he is gay, and he's going to tune out the second that you get pregnant. That is my tip for all women. Prior to meeting me, his family kicked him out. His partner at the time made it about her, and they broke up not long after. Base, she is currently married to Chad, and they have 8,000 Chad children together, and she lives in a mansion, a fairy tale mansion over a lake. And then he came out to me as some form of she doesn't even know what to call it. Then he came out as some kind of form of gender queer, non-binary, whatever the fuck he said. I didn't understand it. I just know that he's a faggot now. To me a couple months ago. For the last several months, he's been kind of exploring his gender identity. Mainly, I had absolutely no issues with this at all. Although I consider myself cisgender, I don't feel 100% female. Well, then you deserve it. I've always presented more masculine. Oh, here's your tomboy. He found his tomboy mommy GF, knocked her up, and is now going to tune out. Wonderful. This is the relationship of prospects of everyone on 4chan at this point. And I don't like the majority of stereotypical women-dominated things, so gender to me has always been a fluid thing. He began experimenting with my clothes and underwear to start, and then we bought some makeup together. I don't wear any. And I showed him how to use it, and it was really clear he was liking it. All of this is to say I'm perfectly fine with him not being a man or any kind of version of a man that people conjure up, but I still find myself struggling to wrap my mind around the idea that he doesn't just want not to be a man, he actually wants to be a woman. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's almost like he was experimenting with gender and just kind of a man who likes feminine things. My mind could completely accept that, but something about him wanting to take it a step further and be a woman is really hard for me to wrap my mind around. And I really don't know why that is, because like I said, I've always seen gender as fluid, and I've never questioned anyone else's trans identity. Well, you fucking got what you fucking deserved. You pick up what you put down, lady. Part of it, I think, is the pregnancy. Like I said, I am 7 months pregnant. We know our baby's sex, though we've kept it a secret from everyone because we didn't want people making assumptions about when we're baby based on the shingles. Wow, you really fucking deserve what you get. And the baby has a name, and he's been talking to them for them, baby. Fuck you, lady. God punishes the wicked. That's what I'm learning from this. And he's been talking to them for weeks in utero, etc. And I think I'm just having a hard time truly wrapping my mind around the idea that this baby won't ever know their dad, if that doesn't make any sense at all. Like, by the time the baby gets here, I imagine he will be further into this process. And he did tell me last night he'd like to be called mommy or mom. So I'm so happy our baby will get to know a new happy version of the person I fell in love with. Don't get me wrong, but I guess that part of me is just sad to know that they also won't get to know the great guy, the dad, who helped them get to this point. I have no idea if this makes sense. Their body and their mind is screaming at them something that makes complete sense and is totally natural and is an apprehension that is completely fair. And then their mind is like hammering that down and pushing it back into the closet like it's some kind of ugly monster and not like biological normalcy trying to eke out. Anyways, I just need to get my feelings out since I don't want him don't want to out him to anyone, so I don't have any friends to discuss this with. And the pandemic means I have limited access to therapies and support groups. By you deleted, really, really, really uncomfortable with my spouse calling herself our child's mother. Oh, this one's going to be fun. When I got pregnant, my wife was my husband. My wife was my dad. That's Jerry Springer episode in 2020. My wife is my dad? Question mark, exclamation point. Uh, when I got pregnant, my wife was my husband. Well, boyfriend, then I got pregnant and we had an emotional affair with. When I got pregnant, he cheated on her with her best friend, abandoned me to go drop acid when I was sick with hyperemesis, and then left me in the hospital till labor without him at my side, which I desperately wanted and discussed with her prior to the introduction to go do some more drugs, and didn't meet our daughter until she was over 24 hours old. It was a horrible affair for me to be pregnant, humiliating and sad, but I got through it for the sake of our daughter, and I'm proud of the mother I am and had to become through that hardship. Unequivocally, my spouse has not acted like a mother. Our daughter is 4 and doesn't see her as a mother. Our daughter barely saw her as a parent at all, opting to call her by her dead name first name instead. My spouse isn't very parental and has a lot of. Well, bro, you really fucked up. Like getting knocked up by this retard. Like holy shit! I can't even imagine how many different red flags that this lady saw and overlooked. Like, oh well, he's cool. He's got a nice car. So I feel really rankled when I see her identify herself as a mother in online spaces. I haven't brought it up to her because the conversation won't go anywhere productive, and I'm trying to sort out where these feelings of mine are coming from anyway. I don't have a problem with two mom parents, I get it, but I feel like my spouse is bulldozing the feelings of our daughter and myself to validate her gender identity, and I'm loathing it lately. Like I said, it's the monster in the closet, but it's actually just a normal person who accidentally got locked up in there, and now you're like, oh, I don't want to reconcile this. When I was pregnant, I tried to avoid cis heteronormative stuff. Well, there we go. Fucking completely deserved it. You fucked yourself up. I wanted to be inclusive with my daughter, but my wife is big on cis heteronormativity. so the mom is gender fluid and the dad is like, no, I will be mommy. I will not be gender fluidy. The gender fluid spouse. I am mommy. Do you get it? Do you get it, bitch? You're gonna call me mommy. My wife is on cis heteronormativity, so down the Disney pipeline she went with our daughter. So now our daughter is rigid in her worldview that my wife is not a woman and that cannot be, despite all my attempts to educate her otherwise. Daughter is fucking base. Is there like a Chad 4-year-old girl thing? Just like the parrot meme. And I feel that my wife. And I just feel that my wife is trying to call herself mother with our young child before our child is even ready to acknowledge my wife's womanhood is pushing it a lot. I also feel like my spouse is calling herself mom undermines everything that I've been pushing or everything that I've been through as a parent. I feel like my spouse doesn't even deserve the title, to be honest. She's often short with her daughter and unkind. She won't cook food for her that isn't microwavable. She doesn't brush her hair or teeth, claims her daughter protests too much. My wife is the stay-at-home. Oh my God, what the fuck have you done? My wife is stay-at-home parent and has the stay-at-home parent is a man in drag who can't cook anything besides a microwavable meal and seems to hate that your daughter is even a thing. Holy shit, lady. It just kills me inside knowing that my daughter eats microwave pizza and chicken nuggets and cookies and junk food all the time because my wife won't cook anything for her. That I come home from work and my daughter's face and hair is always a wreck because my wife doesn't bathe her regularly, wash her face, brush her hair, brush her teeth. When I get home from work, I get to relax for a few minutes and then I have to get my daughter dressed and ready to go out and do something enriching with her. Whereupon my wife will stay at home to nap, play video games, try to work on schoolwork, clean, do whatever else she does. I don't know, masturbate in a dress. She's and play too. She's not super forthcoming with me at all. All these reasons make me so upset that she's trying to claim the title of mother. It's wrong. Mothers like spending time with their children. Does this make sense? How do I work through this? I know therapy, but my insurance doesn't cover much. And what it does cover gets allocated to my wife to go to gender therapy. Should I talk to my wife about this or get over it? Lady should buy a gun and shoot that fucker dead. Look at the way they end this post. They're like in a trans-friendly subreddit. So they're like, "How do I push this nagging feeling in my head that tells me that I fucked up my entire life? Should I take my money and spend it on a therapist to help me push the beast back inside the closet, or should I just get over it and accept the fact that I will never be happy with my decisions? What do you say, Reddit? I really need that. What do you say, Reddit? I really need this sorted out for me. Can you give me some advice, Reddit?" I feel really scared and trapped by Miyoke Magic. Anime name, definitely. Oh my god. Come on. Not even hiding the anime anymore. From R Ass Transgender. I'm assigned male at birth, around 30 years old, married, and have a baby on the way. Since I was a little kid, I've identified with female characters in fiction. Enjoy playing. Okay, let me look this up. Miyoke. What is this, an anime? If I called this guy's an anime, just like immediately. Miyoke Magic. Like a weird. I don't know what the fuck this is. It's like a type of art. Give me a second. Surreal paintings by Moki Miyoki. Okay, it might just be like a made up thing. I don't know. I don't know. It's not an anime. I guess I'm wrong. I'll take my L chat. Well, you're not chat. You're not chatting. Take my L. Gumroad people. Enjoyed girly things. I've also wondered a lot about what it would be like to be a girl, have a woman's body, which means that he masturbates to sissy hypno. For a long time, I thought these were just thoughts that everyone dealt with from time to time and have yet to suppress them and move on. Over the past few years, I've learned more and more about what it means to be transgender. Like I said, weird fetish thought that could have been murdered, like stepping on that little Voldemort fetus in the Harry Potter movies. You could have just crunched it and gotten over it. But thanks to the internet, now these freaks have a way to network and embolden each other. And the more frequently I've read about these things, see people's stories, see before and after pictures of transitioning, the more frequent and severe that occasional dysphoric thought becomes, the more I want those things to be for me. A few months ago, I told my wife that I thought I was gender fluid / non-binary. She was accepting and supportive, first mistake, but I can tell that the thought of me presenting female or being with a woman at all grosses her out. I understand that and don't expect her to change for me. I've been experimenting with things like shaving my legs or painting my nails, and those seem to alleviate the feelings of dysphoria pretty well. I think that I'm starting to accept the fact that I'm just straight up trans. I look in the mirror and I want long, pretty hair. I want a softer face. I want boobs. I want a vagumba. Like, if I could push that gender swap button, and if it weren't for the fact that it'd screw up the most important thing in my life, I'd push it without a second thought and never look back. But I don't think that's ever going to be in the cards for me. I guess I'm just looking for more ways to feel feminine without actually being a woman. I love my wife more than anything in the world. I can't imagine life without her. I never want to do anything to hurt us or drive us apart, especially with a baby on the way. I just want us to be a happy family. She knows that I'm in therapy about a lot of these issues, but she doesn't know how deep these feelings are. They're always in therapy too, and I bet you that's part of the problem. Like some LA therapist is like, "Oh, have you ever tried masturbating while in a dress while watching Sissy Hypno? You might feel better. You might explore these feelings." And they're like, "Oh, now I just want to trin out." R translator, what the fuck is that? Reddit translator. While our ass transgender and other trans groups are great, some of us have families, partners, and careers, and all the other trappings like prison cells, trappings of not being in our 20s anymore. Here's somewhere to talk about these things. Oh, so there's an entire Reddit with 57,000 members, 122 online right now, for talking about how you want to abandon your entire life and family so that you can dress and drag permanently. If I go to the subreddit and I search for the top post, I get a post by Trans Montani saying, "I did a thing, won't delete, just became the first trans woman in the history of the state of West Virginia to run for state legislator. I plan to win." What the fuck? This is the last post, by the way. I guess I can take a little detour before reading it. That is fucking disgusting. I hope this thing lost. What is this name? What's its name? 4 months ago. So they're on the ballot for this year. Oh my fucking god. Ugh. In West Virginia, like the last state in the U.S. that's not fucking completely ruined, and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna ruin this. Postponing transitioning from Pickles Are Gross 84, which I guess they share in relation with Chris, male to female, 37 years old. I really wish I had a supportive wife, but that's not going to happen for me. We've been together for almost 14 years, about to have our 4th child. She's known about my transgender feelings for years now, but this last week I made it clear I want to transition. Not only is she against it, but she made it clear she would do whatever she could to ruin my life if I did transition. She would take all my money. Her family is rich and they'd be able to get much better lawyers than me. She said that she would turn our kids against me and would make them have nothing to do with me. She said that she would out me to everyone, friends and family, before I was ready to come out. So basically, I don't see a way forward in this transition without blowing up my whole life. I don't think I can do it now. I think I won't be able to get out of this relationship for a few years. I'm guessing not until I'm about 40. What can I do? I want to start HRT before I lose even more of my hair. How much harder is it going to be waiting another 3 to 4 years before transitioning? Is it possible to start HRT without being noticed by my wife? LOL. So base mom is like, I will fucking kill you. And it works. 4 years of not having to deal with this shit. So take a lesson from base mom and set your fucking foot down, and take a lesson from me. Don't ever date a bisexual. Well, that's not a lesson from me. That's more of a thing that I said. I don't think I've ever dated a bisexual. So I hope not. And that is it. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the special content. I guess there's not much to enjoy. It's kind of fucking depressing, but I hope you've learned something. Hope you've learned some red flags, know what to look for. Stop watching anime. Stop jerking off to Sissy Hypno. It's very clear that if they just stop jerking off to Sissy Hypno and watching anime, they can suppress it for years. It's a choice to decide to actively ruin your entire family. That's enabled by a woman who's complacent with the programming to be like, oh, well, this is a thing that just happens naturally, and I have to be okay with it. It can be suppressed. It can be murdered, these feelings. And yeah, have a wonderful June. Try not to get too black pill. Bye bye. Actually, you know what? I do. I have a song. I'll play a special outro song, which you may recognize. If you've been a fan of this kind of content for many years, you will definitely recognize this song. Okay, take it easy. Bye bye.
Yeah, the God is true. I've grown, ain't I? The skinny nigga with the fro to the slightly bigger nigga who's a killer with the flow. Went from YouTube beats and SoundCloud, nigga. The only difference now is that I found Twitter. Fuck it, it's struggle rap, man. They never see the trouble that I'm going through. The way I sing, they think I live in bubble wrap. Fuck all that, even though I'm on some poppin' shit. With my niggas as my witness, I'm a nigga who can spit. Don't believe me? Overlooking my potential, I'm that poet to a phone, that poet was to a pencil. My mental is similar to that of a lion, and I'm the king of all of you niggas. I ain't even trying, no lying, I'm scarred. You niggas Mufasa dying, I'm killing you faggots. Don't bother hating or crying, and don't try getting your feelings because you're feeling my rhyming. And if my music ain't priceless, word to God you be buying. I see you fuckers aspiring to be me, SoundCloud you spying, and see me suckers that's hiding, saving my tracks, Private Ryan. Oh Lord, I know I'm inspiring, but have some pride in yourself, cause ain't no nigga can be me unless that nigga's myself. Yes Lord, yes Lord, yes Lord, yeah. Word to another excuse, it's just another excuse. I just been busy all year and now I'm back with the juice. I watch a lot of your moves, I'm on my bishop to you. I'm going straight for the king, I'll hang that boy with a noose. And I'll be fucking the queen, fuck it, I lost a few. And all these flat-chested bitches ain't really checking for you. Checkmate, I'm playing checkers with my shoes, got the breads on. And your girl give me neck because her head's gone. Jaw hurts, that's a quote from my main bitch. I look her dead in the eye, said that that's a shame, bitch. Same bitches everywhere, so running game is backwards compatible. Ain't a woman I could name, bitch. I never cared for the meet and greet. I tell them greet my meat, treat them like a piece of meat, seat to seat. My money dirty, so I never really need receipts. And ain't nobody in life I really need to keep. I still gon' roam with my family, cause they put me here. And rest in peace to all my niggas that were took this year. Rear view, the stories had us shook this year. I lost a lot of people, so I'm doing this here. In case there isn't the next, in case I die by tomorrow. Let my words lead my life and let my legacy follow. I made a promise and I'll keep it, yeah I will. Much love to all of my people, yo for real, it's trill. Yes, Lord.